The board had directed our external, this is prior to the winter break, the board had directed our external auditor to review these projects and purchases, and the auditor determined that there was no violation of procurement requirements and the purchases were within approved budgeted amounts. And again, we didn't go over those budget line items. So again, this was a good faith error. There was no malintent. We've identified some immediate practice changes to make sure this kind of error doesn't happen again. So we'll be adding an attorney to the legal services team to supervise procurement actions and contract approval. We'll conduct a quarterly compliance audit to ensure all of our contracts and procurement actions align with requirements of board policy. And then I will be directing all HISD leaders, those who are directors and above, that they are responsible for making sure they know and comply with all board policy that applies to them, and our legal services team will send out monthly updates on board policy changes. All right, so that is what we reported this morning. I wanted to make sure, just in case you hadn't seen it, that you had the same information. Now I'm going to pivot to some other timely updates for the start of 2025, which was a week ago. So as you may know, we launched HISD Now. It's a live broadcast every day, 3 times a day, and then ad hoc announcements. We will be fully broadcasting fully in February, so that this is a soft launch right now, and you'll hear more about it the official launch, which is going to be February 5th. HISD Now. Second, you may know that we have the NWEA MAP assessments coming up, and that actually starts tomorrow. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then we'll do makeups later. But that's an assessment that we used last year, and we have a beginning of the year, middle of the year, end of year. This is our middle of the year assessment. We're kind of excited about the MAP assessments. They give a good idea of how well our teachers have been doing this first semester, and our students have been doing this first semester, especially with the quality of instruction. So the next thing I want to emphasize is we have the instructional reviews, not this week, but the following week. You may know the term IRT, independent review teams. They look at and assess the quality of instruction at every school. And so we've been doing that in the first semester, and the next review happens next week, over the next couple weeks. And then a couple more things. Weapon detection systems, we talked about that before. The first one goes in at Lamar High School. This is not this week, but the following week. And then Northside High School, and then Bel Air, and then the other high schools will be coming online. Weapon detection systems. And that starts, the implementation of that starts with Lamar. In fact, the community meeting for Lamar is going to be held tonight by Principal Graves. So we'll explain that. I mean, they've been practicing, they've been going through their plan, and so we're looking forward to good rollout of the weapon detection systems. And then finally, just want to note that the budget process is already starting. How we do the budget, the methodology and the assumptions. We've been briefing the board, and there'll be a series of workshops that the board has this year on the budget process. You know, the budget has to be submitted to the state in June, so we'll meet that deadline, of course, but in the meantime, we'll have several workshops. I think the first workshop is January 28th, and we'll announce the others as they come up. So that's the quick review of what we got going. Oh, actually, one other thing. You know, we have our evaluation system. We've been teacher evaluation system that we hope the board will approve in March, and that's an add-on or change to the TESS, the T-test evaluation system that we have currently for teachers. So that process is ongoing, and we started well into the, right after the school year started to get input from teachers and principals and others. That's it. Who's got the first question? Yeah, thanks for asking. First of all, you know, last week was a little cooler. Luckily, there was no freezing temperatures. But what you don't know is that behind the scenes, you have maintenance crews working early in the morning, over the weekend, trying to make sure that the chillers, that alarm overnight, get fixed or get put back online. And so we were able to keep all the kids in school, and we didn't have to close schools. Looks like this week it's a little warmer than last week, so we feel pretty comfortable with that. I mean, look, it still gets down into the low 40s and in some cases upper 30s in the evening, or at night. So we're still going to have chillers go down, and hopefully, Margaret, it won't be as bad as last year where we had a number of cool classrooms and some kids were taking their exams in their coats. We don't think that'll be the case this year, so that's what we're hopeful for. Yeah, so we're starting with high schools, of course, and we'll see if we have enough money next year for middle schools. But for high schools, we started with the schools where we have already found weapons this year. And you already know that we had found weapons in Lamar, Northside, Bel Air. And so those are the schools we're starting with, especially Lamar. It's a really big school, several entrances, so we're consolidating entrances, and hopefully this is just one added layer of safety. Now, I'm going to say again, this is not a cure-all, right? Weapon detection systems are, doesn't mean you won't have guns in the schools, but this is one more layer, and we're being prudent and having these weapon detection systems placed in our schools. No, these are the ones with the towers. They're not like your typical airport security framing. They're less obtrusive. So you'll see these towers that kids walk through.
Okay, next question, Fernando. Let me pass you this microphone because we are streaming right now live.
So, in a series of videos updates in HISD YouTube channel last week, the district confirmed heating, water, and switch problems at some schools. For next week, we are expecting 26 degrees in Houston area. I know you mentioned how are you going to deal with these heating problems. You think that the system of the heating is prepared 100% for next week?
So not this week, but the following week, you're right. We've looked at the report already, and there does seem to be an evening or two where there's going to be freezing temperatures, so below 32 degrees. Luckily, it doesn't seem like there'll be precipitation. We'll see if the weather reports change. But I gotta tell you, we're going to be fighting the heating wars all winter. I mean, we've got old infrastructure. The maintenance crews will be out. On a really cold night, if it does get down to the 20s, I don't know if it will, but if it does get down to the 20s, we're going to have several chillers and heating systems go out. And then we'll try to get them online as fast as possible. And the maintenance crews will be out at 4, 5 in the morning, checking any heating system that we call alarmed. They're offline, they alarm, and we go out and check it out. So some of it is patchwork, but they've been doing a great job so far. So my hope is that we'll keep all the schools open.
Thank you. Superintendent, I know you acknowledged the mistake around the procurement, and we did an analysis that showed during that period when the cooperative agreements were not going before the board, that spending averaged about $55 million a month as compared to about $30 million a month on cooperative agreements in the 2 years beforehand. What explains that increase?
Yeah, I don't know. I know that we have a $2.2 billion budget, so we do a lot of procurements. Usually there's more procurements in the first semester than there are in the rest of the year. So I don't know the answer to your question. I know that we didn't do anything unusual with regard to procurement. So first semester, more expenditures than the second part of the year.
Marlene?
Hi, Superintendent. We're hearing from parents that they're afraid of sending their kids to school because of the deportation plans from our next president, and also they're feeling anxiety, they're having fears, the students in general. What's the message from HISD to all the parents who are thinking not to send their kids to school? And also, how are the teachers handling the situation with their students having fear and anxiety with deportation?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and you have to remember back 8 years ago, similar fears, most of them unfounded. I'm not saying that fears aren't serious. I mean, there's concern out there, I know that. Here's my message to our students and families. My job is to educate every kid who's enrolled. And that's what we're going to do. We don't check for documentation. We check to see if they're enrolled in the school, and we will if they're enrolled, we will educate them. I hesitate to jump the gun. We shouldn't have done that 8 years ago, and we're not going to. So we'll cross any bridge we have to if it comes up. We follow the law always. But at the same time, we will make sure that the job is to educate kids. That's what we're going to do.
Well, what are teachers doing to help with the students who are having fears and anxiety?
Mm-hmm. So if we haven't put out, I know we talked about putting out a one-pager just to explain the current process, and we're going to keep doing that. And I'm looking over here. I don't know when that one-pager will go out, if it has already, but I know we talked about it, and we're going to put that out. Our legal department. And so we're going to keep following the same process. That will help the teachers explain to kids, look, you're safe in this school. You're going to continue to get an education from us.
Margaret?
Going back to the security question, I just wonder, how are you going to move the kids through in a timely basis to get schools started on time? And I know in some other schools, more elementary, you've moved to one entrance and one entrance only, which is tougher for a high school. How are you going to get them through and still be thorough in your checks?
Yeah, that's a good question. The answer is what we have is not your normal security process. These are your new type of security weapon detection system, where you can get 600 kids going through those towers in just a matter of 30 minutes or so. And so if you have a school like Lamar, you need several towers. In fact, they have seven sets of towers. And they've been practicing. This is why it's taken a while. They're practicing. They're making sure they have a plan for it, and they've reduced their entrances to 2 instead of 5, because we do know that the more entrances you have, the less secure a building is. So single point of entry is what we try to do. Lamar is so big, we have to have a couple. And most of the other schools are getting down to 1 or 2. So these allow you to move kids a lot quicker than in the past.
Following up on the question about deportations, there have been reports that the Trump administration is considering ending the policy of sanctuary areas around schools, so no deportation around schools. Has HISD issued any directives to principals about what to do if immigration agents show up at school?
So we have our one-pager, we have our processes that are in place right now. And so I don't want to speculate on any, what might happen. We'll cross that bridge when we get here. Right now, we're following the processes that we've always followed.
Any other question? Sorry, can you pass from the side?
Hi. We contacted HISD Communications last week because we had received some information about a rodent problem at Lanier Middle School. I'd been talking to some people that say that this has been going on at least since Thanksgiving. Is the district aware of what's going on, and what steps, if any, have been taken to solve these issues right now?
Yeah, so yes, we are aware, and Lanier did have some problems, and the maintenance team is on it and doing what they can to ensure that we have pest control procedures in place. And so that's happening, and they're encouraging any school that sees anything like that to call the maintenance department, and they'll get on it.
Has the district informed parents about this, and is there any health concern for either students or staff? We've heard, that there's been, dead rodents and also some droppings in the classrooms themselves. Any concerns at all from the district about that?
No, I think those are the reports we heard. It's been investigated, that the maintenance department is on top of it, and so I don't think any. I'm not sure whether the school has reported that incident to the parents. We can get back to you whether a letter went out to parents.
Regarding the procurement thing again, I know that you said that it was a mistake that those didn't go before board policy, but it did, persist for about 16 months. Has any employee of the district been either disciplined or fired in response to this issue?
Yeah, so the procurement team and the procurement processes are very complex, and yes, it's a mistake, and we need to correct it, which we're going to do. I think having the external auditors, not our own auditors, but external auditors do it quarterly would prevent things like this, but also having legal counsel helping out with procurement as well. And so in this case, no violation of law, procurement processes followed, everything recorded. So all the steps followed. No harm to the district financially, no money lost, no contracts not following the procurement process. So we'll look at this, we're going to look at the entire system. We'll take appropriate action if we need to.
But no one disciplined or fired yet?
Not yet.
We're going to get 2 more questions here, and then
I just wanted to ask about the railroads. I know Representative Garcia announced a study. I don't know if the district is working with her on that, or if the district is doing its own studies or work to try to improve safety at rail crossings.
So I believe we had a meeting with Union Pacific today, but I've also had a meeting with them before winter break, and there have been other meetings. So we know that this is not a problem we can solve on our own. This is a problem in the making for 20, 30 years. It's a city with railroads, and we have 118 schools impacted by that fact. And so it's a multi-agency problem to solve, and I know the mayor is interested in helping out. Congress people are interested in helping out, and Union Pacific is also interested in helping out. So we are working with them to see if we can get more than just the Milby passage, overpass, but maybe 8 other schools that are most impacted by railroads. So we're in conversations. I don't want to give the impression this will be solved overnight. It's 3 decades of people worrying about this, and so but we're moving on this. We're acting on this.
Yeah, going back to the weapons detection systems, I wanted to know more about staffing. I know you guys said that there would be police officers there in case there was a safety threat, but is it going to be administrators, teachers, staffing the stations? And then on the funding piece, how much is this costing the district, and then where is the funding coming from?
So the staffing is an issue, and every school has their own solution, but it has to be staffed, first of all, by an adult, of course, and an employee of the district. So schools will use, in a rotating schedule or something, teachers, office managers, learning coaches. However, we also need, a police force there, our HISD police, to be there just in case something is found, and then they take over. So staffing will be a school-by-school issue, and that's why we're doing the drills, we're doing the plans, going over their plans to see how they will be staffed, because you just can't have those without staffing. As far as the costs, it'll run over this year and probably next year, mostly grant funded.
Okay. Superintendent, I said two last questions, but can you address one more?
So about the weapons detection system, you say that we will start with Lamar, Bel Air, other schools, but what's the plan? How many schools will be affected? Like all of them, or those that has been reporting more incidents?
Thanks for asking. Yes, it's going to be all of our high schools, and then that's it for now. We're going to make a determination after we do our budgeting process whether or not we can expand to middle schools. But by the end of this year, you should see weapon detection systems, end of the school year, you should see weapon detection systems in all of our high schools.
Would the detection things be for visitors? Would they pass through the same?
Yes, ma'am. So once we have them up, we're expecting anybody who visits the school also to go through weapon detection. I mean, I think that makes sense, right? If the kids have to go through, and then later in the day, you have visitors, they should also go through the same weapon detection systems.
We're going to share you more information on the school.
Thank you, everybody.